Okay, the dough that we made yesterday and put in the fridge overnight has been resting for 30 minutes on rice flour on top of a board. You washed out the bowl, so the bowl is now clean. So if you see any big air pockets, you want to pop those. So now you need to shape it. So use rice flour so it doesn't add more gluten to the bread. Put some on your scraper, and you just start gradually working it into a round ball. Again, if you see those big air pockets, you want to pop those. And you're just getting it into a nice round, fairly tight shape. Popping those air pockets. Okay, so it's starting to get a nice, tight, compact feel to it. So that's probably pretty good. So you want to take a cloth, a thin cotton dish towel, and put it in your bowl, and then you want to sprinkle it with rice flour so the dough doesn't stick. And then you scoop up your dough, put it upside down in that, and then you have to cover it. And it needs to be air, with a piece of saran wrap, which of course isn't going to stick to the towel. So I just use these clips. And then this dough is going to stay in here and rise a couple inches. You don't want to let it rise too much, because when you transfer it into your baking dish, it'll deflate and then it won't re-rise in the oven, and you'll end up with a loaf of bread that's not very highly risen. So just set it in a warm spot. I'm just setting it on the table in the sun here. And that'll rise for a couple hours, and then you bake it. Preheat your baking dish in a 500-degree oven as the oven is warming up. And then lower the temperature to 450. Put it in, score the top, put the lid on, and bake it. And we can show you that part when this is done rising. The bread has risen, the dough has risen. So we're taking the saran wrap off, parchment paper over our board. And we're going to flip the dough out with a cloth on top of that. Our oven has been heating to 500 with the bread dish inside. And put the dough in that. All right, so there's our dough. The dish is very hot, so you got to be very careful. And you need to decrease your oven temperature from 500 to 450. And then you lift the bread into the hot dish. I always trim off the extra paper. And then you have to score the bread with a sharp knife. You can score it any way you want. I just do it that way. Put the lid back on. And put it in the oven. And then you're going to bake it for 34 minutes. And then when that 34 minutes is up, you're going to bake it. You're going to take the lid off and bake it for another 4 minutes. Okay, so now the 34 minutes of baking is up. We just need to remove the top of the baking dish so that the loaf can just get a little brown and crusty. We bake it for 4 more minutes and then it's done. So the timer just rang. The loaf is nice and crusty. And there it is, your sourdough bread.